So you can't go but so far spiritually, and I know there'll be objections to this truth, but you can't go but so far spiritually and still eat meat. Just the way it is. There's a consciousness that comes. It covers the consciousness. Meat is in the mode of ignorance. If you eat meat, it puts us in the mode of ignorance. We must come to the mode of goodness to actually enter into true spiritual life.
Is there anything that you feel you wanted to comment on what he said?
Well, one thing that he made clear, you have a choice. Everybody has a choice.
Exactly.
As soon as the soul takes a human form of life, it comes with innumerable choices. And the more educated we are, the more likely we are to make the right choices. And so one of the most important things we do in life every day is eat. Food is one of the key things that revolves around. So the more we know, the better we'll be.
Yeah.
So one thing he said, leave all the, he's just looking from a strictly biological point of view, leave all the ethical and, all the other issues aside, and let's look at it from strictly biological. And so from the biological point of view, the human body is designed for vegetarian food. He mentioned a couple of things, but you could take it even a little further than he did. But if you look at the design of a human body as opposed to the design of a carnivore body, like a tiger or whatever, you see many differences, and it all can start in the mouth.
Yeah.
Like the teeth of a carnivore and the teeth of a herbivore are completely different. A carnivore's got fangs. Like he said, it just rips off a big chunk of meat. It doesn't chew that meat. So it doesn't have much in the way of chewing devices, molars, premolars, all that. And it basically just rips off and it swallows everything. But we have a very different structure. We have molars and premolars, little canines, unless you're Dracula. And we've got our incisors to bite. Then we're supposed to chew, and then swallow. Of course, I watch so many people eat, and they don't hardly chew. That's a mistake. They just like taking vitamins or something. But the body's designed to chew the food. They say, drink your food and chew your liquid. That's how it should be. In the mouth of the human, there's enzymes, and they break down the food in the mouth before it even goes to the stomach. So digestion actually starts in the mouth. We have digestive enzymes in our saliva. If you don't chew your food, you just quickly swallow it, they don't get the opportunity to work. So the food reaches the stomach in an unbroken down condition. Mm-hmm. So we should chew our food. And like the animals, they don't. They just swallow. So the next stop is the stomach. And Marcus also mentioned that. The stomach acid in a carnivore is 5 times stronger than the stomach acid in a human. So the food stays in their stomach a very short time. It's broken down very quickly and passes on. The food in the human stomach stays a long time. And it's working and it's breaking down, and that's why you feel full for hours sometime, depending on what food you eat, because some food takes longer to break down than others. And if our stomach acid is too weak, then we have digestion problems, and you get acid reflux.
Yeah.
And we could go far into this subject, but a lot of people think, oh, I have too much stomach acid, so therefore I need to drink alkaline water. But alkaline water is the opposite because it dissipates the acid and makes our stomach more alkaline. The parts of the body that should be alkaline are the rest of the body, and the stomach should be acidic. So you drink alkaline water, take baking soda, etc., then it decreases the acidity of the stomach and increases the problem you already have.
Right.
So a friend of mine, he had so much acid reflux. Everybody knows what acid reflux is. And it, you feel it coming up.
You feel it sour, like,
and it was burning
sensation in your...
And he had reached a point, he'd been to the doctors and given all kinds of medication, where they told him, if we don't do something with this, you're going to get esophagus cancer because that stomach acid is going to erode your esophagus and you're going to get cancer. And so he tried many things that they gave him. It didn't work. And then he started taking hydrochloric acid pills. He thought, hydrochloric acid? I got too much acid already.
Oh.
But the problem was he didn't have enough acid. He started taking these hydrochloric acid pills, and now he's fine. He can eat basically anything, and it doesn't bother him. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's another issue. But the animals, they got a lot of acid. It breaks down everything, and it passes out. Intestines, the animals have, we're talking about carnivores now, remember. The animals have a very short intestinal tract in comparison to ours. And it's very smooth inside. So what they swallow, it goes through the stomach quickly, and then it just goes through basically almost a straight pipe.
Out.
And there's no convolution. It's just smooth inside, and it passes out. And if you've ever looked at the stool of a coyote, for instance, or dog or ducks, and they eat, pet food in your house.
Yeah, it's not really
but a wild carnivore, and you see in their stool, like Marcus said, feathers, bones, fur, whatever, and it just goes through and passes out. Mm-hmm. Our intestinal tract is so long. I mean, a small intestine, and it goes around and around and around. Then it reaches the large intestine, and it goes down and across and down, and then finally out. That's a long journey. And in our small intestine especially, there's little villi that stick up from the walls that are like little fingers that stick up. And the food goes inside here, and here's where all these veins and so on that absorb the food, so it goes into your bloodstream here.
Yeah.
So that needs to be working properly to get the proper nutrition from the food. However, when we eat meat and the wrong food, these get clogged up. And so these don't work properly. And then the intestine, which may be this base exaggerated, of course, it gets smaller and smaller because it's getting clogged up. And so now we've got a little passageway where it should be like this, is like this, like a clogged up drain pipe in your kitchen. When you got to root it out, you got to clean it out and all that. Oh, the water runs good now. Before it was backing up in your sink or your toilet or wherever it was. It's exactly like that. And so it needs to be working. It needs to be kept clean. What keeps it clean? Fiber. Fiber not only feeds the bacteria, like Marcus said, all the good bacteria, that's their food. If you eat prebiotic as supplements, prebiotics, that's basically fiber. Probiotics are the bacteria. But if you take probiotics and you don't have the right prebiotics, the probiotics die.
Exactly. They don't have the right conditions.
They don't have the right conditions. So you need to eat the prebiotics to make the right environment for the probiotics.
Well, prebiotics is pretty much whole foods then.
Whole foods and whole food, all vegetarian food in its original form is full of fiber.
Yeah.
It's full of fiber, and that's by design. I mean, this is not an accident. Mm-hmm. Then it goes to the large intestine. There's a lot of, waste there. That's where the waste stuff goes, some absorption, and it goes through. If we eat meat, it doesn't get absorbed. It it breaks down very quickly, and toxics arrive. Toxins, not toxics, toxins. So here's an example that everyone can relate to. If you take a piece of meat and you take an apple and you put them both in the sun on a warm day, 30 degrees, let's say quite warm day, and leave it for 8 hours and come back, which one would you rather eat? That piece of meat in the sun for 8 hours is putrid, it stinks, there's flies around it. You wouldn't eat it for anything. You just get rid of this thing. Whereas the apple, you probably just pick it up, eat it warm. Warm apple juice. See, very good.
Yeah.
What is the temperature in the human body? What is it?
37, 36.
36.6, 37. That's more than 30. The meat goes in there. What happens? It gets putrid, just exactly like the meat in the sun. And it stays in there a long time. It's just not like through 1 hour later, it's all done. Stays in there a long time. Big journey.
Yeah.
Drug smugglers, what do? They often swallow whatever they're smuggling. Cocaine or, I've heard of them smuggling diamonds. So they take it, they go through the borders and checkpoints and everything, the customs and whatever, and then they go and they wait for it to come out. Oh, here's my diamond. How long is that? Hours later, maybe the next day. So that shows how long it takes for things to go through. So the meat is giving off all this toxic poison. The body's absorbing it, and we become toxic. What deals with that? The liver, the kidneys, and so on. Mm-hmm. Constipation is one of the main problems for meat-eating people. Others as well, but for meat eaters, it's a big problem. That's why, all of these stores are filled with laxatives. Go to any store where they sell supplements, and it's laxatives of many different types. It's not because, we don't need them. People buy them because I need this. They make it so it works.
I was eating a low-carb diet for a while as an experiment for a year or so before I came to meditation. And that was just basically meat only, almost, and I went to the bathroom like once a week, but and the idea that they say is like, well, then your body is really clean because you don't have to get rid of any toxins, so you go to the bathroom once a week.
How convenient is that? You don't have to go to the toilet.
Exactly.
Once a week.
Like so constipated.
Nice. But yeah, you pay the price.
Yeah.
So there's an obvious design of each body, like in the animal kingdom. Every animal body is designed to eat a certain food. What does a koala bear eat?
Well, like leaves.
Eucalyptus leaves. And basically that's all. See? But their body's perfectly designed to get all the nutrition they need from eucalyptus leaves.
Yeah.
A panda bear, what does it eat? And he's a big animal, not, little teeny bugs. Pandas eat bamboo. Yeah, bamboo. Their body's designed for that. Some birds, many different kinds of birds eat different kinds of food. Some eat this seed, some eat that, some eat this thing, that thing. They don't all eat the same thing.
No.
And each body's designed for a particular food. Squirrels eat nuts. Why? You give a squirrel pizza, they don't eat it. Because they don't eat that stuff. We eat that stuff. They don't eat that stuff. So doesn't it make sense if all these different animals have these bodies designed for particular food, doesn't it make sense that the human body would have a design for particular food?
Yeah.
And of course it does. So if we eat right, we'll be healthy. It'll feed all the different organs, feed the brain. Many times we don't think of how much what we eat affects our brain.
Yeah, he was mentioning that also brain-gut connection.
Yeah, the brain-gut connection, There's a saying, health starts in the gut. If we don't have a healthy gut, healthy bacteria, etc., we won't be healthy.
No.
The gut is the main source of the immune function, the immune system. People get sick all the time because they don't have a good immune system. Why? Because the gut
digestion
is
isn't
not
working.
correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it goes on and on and on. And here's another interesting point between, are we a herbivore or are we a carnivore? And some people will argue in one way and some argue another. And some people say, no, we're neither one. We're omnivore.
Mm.
You know what an omnivore is? It eats everything.
Mm.
So what's the story there? How can we see if we are or not? You look at the true omnivores, and you will see that they can only move their jaw up and down, like a dog is an omnivore. True by nature's design, an omnivore.
Oh.
A dog only
can
go like this.
Mm-hmm.
But the herbivores can move their lower jaw side to side.
Mm.
A cow, goat, you ever seen a cow eat?
Mm. Oh.
Can you move your jaw side to side? Aha! What does that show? We're herbivores by design. So if we just accept what is obvious and eat like that, it will greatly enhance our health. And our health not only affects our physical health, but our mental health. Many people have all these mental issues. It's a lot to do with what they eat. It's a lot connection here. You eat the right food, it fuels the brain, which in the mind is a whole lot of necessary things to make it so we're truly healthy physically and mentally and spiritually.
I was going to say. And one thing, I don't know if it's time to go into that now, but, for that reason, like the mind, you have the influences of the modes of nature. Maybe we could explain that, or you could explain that, and how that affects what you eat really affects your state of mind and the psychological influence that you're under.
Yeah.
Well,
it's another subject, but we can...
I don't know, it's maybe too big
go there. Or maybe another lecture. But anyway, to make it briefly, in Ayurvedic medicine, for instance, which you guys are involved with a lot, there's 3 different body types or 3 different doshas that affect you. There's Vata, which is air, Pitta, which is fire and water, right?
Yeah.
And Kapha, which is basically water.
And earth.
And
earth.
And earth, yeah, of course. Water and earth, right? So, if they're in balance, if your doshas, that's what they're called, if they're in balance, there's health. If they're out of balance, is one aggravated, one is very elevated, and another is not, then there's going to be a problem. And one of the doshas that seems to have the most adverse effect is an out of balance Vata dosha.
Mm-hmm.
And that's air. It's very airy. You get airheaded. Your mind's all over the place. And some people by nature are more Vata. I mean, when we're born, we get our doshas. And some are more Vata and some are more Pitta, some are more Kapha. It's a big subject. These guys should tell you much better than me because that's what they study a lot. But if we can keep them in balance, then things will be as they should be. And if they're not, then it won't. And a lot of mental issues are because of Vata imbalance.
Exactly.
Because of Vata is airy, it affects the mind. And you're just spacey and, you're in anxiety a lot and you can't figure
You're afraid and you get sick more often, way more often.
Way more often. Frail, irritated, weak.
Exactly.
And so on and so on. So it's been seen, and someone was just telling me recently that, this person was so debilitated physically, she said she could hardly maintain her body. She could hardly get out of bed. Really, she had no energy, no nothing. And she went to somebody who had some knowledge, and they said, your Vata is so out of balance. Like we've hardly ever seen anybody with such an elevated vata condition. Anyway, they put her on this diet for a month and all kinds of supplements, different things they did, oil and massages and whatever, brought the vata down, and now she's got incredible, and she can't believe it. She can't believe she's so healthy.
Yeah.
She thought she'd never see that kind of health again in her life.
Yeah.
And now and it was only just bringing things back as they should be. So certain foods, even vegetarian foods, certain foods increase vata, certain foods increase pitta, certain foods increase, kapha. So you get more knowledge about this, okay, I'm vata. So that kind of food is not good. A little bit, but not much. So I should eat more of this and less of this. Whereas the kapha person is basically the opposite. Oh, I should eat what you should eat. I shouldn't eat as much of, and what you shouldn't eat, I should eat more of. So it's a juggling act. But
what Lynn probably would have me say, I don't know, are you here, Lynn? You would probably have me say, like, regardless of which constitution you are, you need to strengthen your digestion. And you can do that, like, with simple methods work for everyone. Like,
absolutely,
drinking warm water, well-cooked foods, which again is a little bit different from what we heard Marcus talk about, because he's purely like more the nutritional perspective, while Ayurveda focuses a lot on most making the digestion work and making sure that you're eating foods that, like, it can be processed in your body. You can be eating gold. It's not going to make like you a golden person, I don't know, like shining or something. You can't digest it. So it's about what you can digest.
Yeah. If it's not digesting it, it's not working.
Yeah.
Because everything that we need to function comes from the food.
Yeah.
And the air. I mean, breathing's another thing we're not going to get into.
But I wanted to get into so this is, what you said about what we're designed to eat. That's like a scientific way, biological way of seeing it. What does the yoga scripture say about what we're meant to eat, and how is that seen
the yoga
in the yoga
scripture,
system?
as I mentioned in my, telling my story yesterday, when I read the yoga scriptures or the books about yoga, it wasn't even a real proper scripture, but it said vegetarian diet is a yoga diet. And that's all I had to work on. I didn't have all this information.
This extra.
And this was like 1969. There wasn't much information out there.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, yoga diet, vegetarian diet. And I became a vegetarian because of that. Because I wanted to do what the yoga teaching was telling me to do. Interesting thing, I was in the military, as I mentioned, from 1965 to 1971, 6 years. And at the end of my term, and I had to get discharged, I had to get a full medical examination at the military hospital to get discharged. So I went and spent a whole day in this hospital, and I went to one doctor, and he did this analysis and another one, your blood and your muscle, whatever, your urine, your thing, whatever. And each doctor, would give his report, and I collected all these reports. I had this little thing. Okay, I got this report, and then from this doctor, this doctor, this doctor. And I came to the final doctor who, analyzed all the reports and made his decision. So he's looking at all that. Yeah, He looked up at me. He said, "Do you jog?" I said, "No, I don't jog. I hate running." I said, "No, I don't jog, but I surf a lot." He said, "Oh, you're a surfer?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Why? Why do you ask?" He said, "Because you're in perfect health."
Wow.
And I'd been a vegetarian for 2 years. And I said, "Oh, well, that's good. I'm a vegetarian." He said, "You're a vegetarian?" "Oh, no, you should eat liver at least once a week. And you have to eat steak 2 or 3 times a week. And chicken. Oh, you must have some chicken, da-da-da." I said, "Wait a minute.
I'm healthy.
You just told me I'm in perfect health. Why I got to eat this stuff?" And he said, "Get out of here." He gave me my stuff. Get rid of this guy, man.
Complicated.
So, yeah. So, yeah. There's a very interesting movie for the people who have doubts about can you be strong on a plant-based diet. It's called Game Changer. Anybody ever seen that movie, Game Changer?
Probably many have seen it. Yeah,
it's really good and it's really well done.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's professionally done, and it shows the top athletes in many different disciplines, in running and track and field and bicycling and climbing and weightlifting and so on. And the top guys in all of these fields, martial arts, it was MMA there, are football, American football.
Yeah.
And they're vegetarians. You know, it was just showing that, you know, this idea that you can't be strong or can't compete or can't be efficient as a vegetarian is a lie, and it proved it. But there's a lot of scientific data in there as well.
A lot.
In that movie.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch a good movie, if you're not convinced, you know, I'm weak, I got to have more protein, I got to eat meat because of this, watch the movie, and that'll defeat that argument, you know?
So let's dive into the spiritual aspect then, or shall we?
Yeah, because yoga is all about spirituality.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, yoga means union between the individual soul and the supreme soul. So, well, just think about it, as Marcus said toward the end of his video. You know, it's not easy to kill an animal. I mean, they die, they suffer. You say, well, you got to kill plants, don't you? Yeah, you do have to kill plants, but their body is much less sensitive to the suffering and the pain than the animal body.
Yeah.
There's a lot less suffering involved.
Yeah.
And you have to eat something to live.
Yeah. So we accept that. We have to create some kind of suffering.
That's the way it's designed in the material world. Everybody lives at the expense of somebody else, right?
Right. Exactly.
So if you kill animals, there's a lot more karma involved than if you just eat plants. Mm-hmm. I don't know how deep we want to go into this, but it's a lot of things. And none of these guys, Marcus or anybody else, ever talks about the karma involved. I never heard one of these kind of people talk about karma. And that's really, if you look at the big picture, more important than anything.
Yeah.
Because karma means you got to suffer for your actions. For everything you do, there's going to be a result. If you cause suffering to another person, you're going to have to suffer accordingly. I mean, that's just the law of nature. You can't beat the system.
No.
Mm-hmm. So if you kill animals, it's described in the Vedic scriptures that in your next life, that same animal that you killed is going to kill you. Yeah.
So you're in for many.
So tit for tat. You kill him, he kills you later. Oh, you remember next life. You remember me? No, I don't remember if I remember you. I know who you are. You know? And so there you go. You can't beat this system. You know. So do we want all that karma? Really, we don't want it. But if we're ignorant, we don't know anything about it. I mean, I doubt Marcus even knows about it.
Yeah.
Because he's not in that category of understanding, as far as I know. And I've watched a lot of his videos. I use his products, you know, and he's more into all about the health.
Yeah.
You know, he's not about, you know, spirituality and next life and any of that. It's like right now, be as fit as you can. I'm 62 years old and I look like this. I work out in the gym and you can too. And you know, but we need to talk about it because the reality is we're eternal. We leave this body, and in this human form of life, we create whatever we create, good karma, bad karma, etc. That goes with us into our next life, or we experience the results in this life. I mean, smoking cigarettes in this life, the instant karma is you get lung cancer. You don't have to wait to take another birth to get the fruit of that action.
Yeah, the results.
You know, but a lot of things you do. Like I said, you eat meat in this life, then next lifetime, there's going to be the result coming back. And it also affects the heart. Eating meat, you got to have a hard heart.
That's exactly what
to eat meat.
I was going to say.
Really. Now, the way it's designed in this modern time, you just go to the grocery store, there's a nice little package, and there's just a little meat inside, and you don't see behind the scenes of that.
No.
You don't see where all that came from. So you just buy it, you take it home. But people don't even do that hardly anymore. They just go to McDonald's. They don't see the little red package. They just see the Big Mac, nice, juicy, dripping with all this dressing that's addictive, and it just, I love it. I was a hunter. I grew up on a farm. I hunted. From the time I was 10 years old, I had a shotgun at 10 years old. My grandfather had, I got it. It's my gun. I can go out and kill as much as I want, not people. In human bodies. But we did. Me and my friends, 10 years old, 11, 12, we were out killing things. We killed squirrels and rabbits and different birds, doves and quail and ducks and geese and whatever.
Wow.
Saw it firsthand, the death. I don't know, hopefully you never hunted, but if you have hunted, you will understand that when you shoot an animal, let's say a rabbit, you go to that rabbit, he's not dead. That rabbit's not dead.
Yeah.
He's wounded. He's afraid. He's freaking out. He's bleeding. He's suffering. And you have to kill that guy.
Yeah.
So you pick that rabbit up. Your heart is just like an iron stone. And you just bang him. I used to bang him against the barrel of my gun. Just knock him unconscious, or a squirrel against a tree. Just smash him against a tree till he's dead. Put him in your coat and go on. Think nothing. I got one. I got two. I got three. You go home with a coat full of little animals, and you had a good day. And I didn't think anything about it, really. Hunted at night, raccoons, opossums, during the day, during the night, I was like nuts. And then in the summer, when it was not hunting season, I hunted fishing. Fish aren't nobody. They're on a hook. You're dragging them through the water. They're coming out of the water. They're flopping. They're gasping. Oh, I like it. He fights really hard. That's a fisherman's trip, Exactly. They like certain fish because they give a good fight. They jump out of the water trying to get the lure out of their mouth. And they go back down. And you get them, and the bigger the fish, the bigger the fight, and the bigger the, see, it's crazy. But I can relate because I was there. I did that stuff. You killed cows. You killed pigs on the farm. You killed chickens. You want to eat chicken? You don't go to Colonel Sanders.
No.
You go out in the yard. You catch the chicken. You put his head on a chopping block. You cut his head off, throw him on the ground. He runs all around with no head. You ever heard the saying, running around with a chicken with his head cut off?
Yep.
That's what they do. They run and run to a certain point, and then there's a ball of blood spurting out of their jugular vein off where the head used to be. Don't think anything. Bring him in the house, give him to Mom. She puts him in hot water, picks all the feathers off, and guts, and you got chicken, So you can get hardened to anything. Eating meat hardens you. Is that conducive to spiritual life? Absolutely not. Spiritual life softens the heart. So you can't say I'm a soft-hearted guy and eat meat. It's impossible. It doesn't work like that. That's why they can so easily start wars. My friend went to Vietnam. He and I were hunters together. We hunted a lot together. He went to Vietnam. And when he came back, he got wounded. Landmine blew up and ruined his knee for life. He came back and I said, Earl, what was it like over there? He said, it's just like hunting squirrels, except they're people.
It's people.
And they hunt you. The squirrels, they don't hunt you back. But in Vietnam, they did. But that was the way it is, Yeah, it's just like hunting squirrels.
like it does include it. Like a mandatory part is objectifying it. You don't relate to the person that you're hunting.
Yeah, it's just
you
an
make it as an object.
Exactly.
You need to do it.
So before I really started my spiritual journey, I started feeling like, man, this is wrong, and I sold my gun and I quit hunting and I started, I had a different lifestyle now. I'm surfing and I'm reading some scriptures, and all that was just history, man. And I couldn't believe that's where I came from, but I did. So it shows you that you can go from extremism in this way to completely come out of that and actually be the opposite, And it was all through a spiritual evolution,
Yeah. Because I was also, I was studying environmental engineering, so I was also exposed to the environmental side of eating meat. And I knew that, I knew that I should probably be vegetarian. I should be vegetarian. But it took me, I can't say it took me years. I just kept on trying to become a vegetarian and then ate meat again. Trying to become a vegetarian again, started eating meat again. I never changed. Because I never had that spiritual influence I see now that cleansed my heart, so that I really had that compassion develop and could do it. It was really hard for me. Like I wanted to be vegetarian. I just couldn't. I just kept going back into that cycle of eating meat. It's so strong.
It's very addictive.
And I think it comes with the societal pressure also, because all this meetings of people, whenever you meet, however you meet, if you're going to have whatever meeting, it's going to be, meat and alcohol. That's what the whole society revolves around. So
and meat really promotes the use of alcohol too.
Oh, yeah.
They go together, Alcohol and meat are very, very good companions. They complement each other. So you'll find less alcoholics among vegetarians.
Yeah.
Some, but a lot less.
Interesting.
So everybody's got to make that choice, But think about the spirituality of it. I mean, really, and another point, all living entities in the material world are God's children. Every single one. Because we're all spirit souls. Wherever there's life, there's a person. So if there's a spirit soul in a tree body, that's just a spirit soul in a tree body. He's just another person, and that lifetime he took birth as a tree. There's a spirit soul in the fish body, in all the different bodies, wherever there's life. The little bugs, everybody, there's earthworms crawling around after a rain on the street. You see them. That's a person, and he's just stuck in that body for this time around. They're all God's children. Everyone, and God loves all his children equally. It's not like he loves some more than others. It's described very clearly in Scripture that God is non-partial. He's not partial. He's the perfect father. A biological father, he might, I like this son better than this one, or I like the daughter better than the son, whatever. See, it can be very partial. But with God, it's not. We're all equal in his eyes. So for us to make his children suffer unnecessarily, how's that going to be pleasing to him? Is he going to like that? He's arranged it so, okay, now you eat plant-based food, you see. That's what you have to do to survive in the material world, so this is your food. And in the Bible, it says you should have these fruits and herb-bearing seeds, and that should be your food. That's in Genesis in the Bible. I don't have the exact quote, but it said like that. But they missed the point, and they went away from that. And so you can't go but so far spiritually, and I know there'll be objections to this truth, but you can't go but so far spiritually and still eat meat. Just the way it is. There's a consciousness that comes. It covers the consciousness. Meat is in the mode of ignorance. If you eat meat, it puts us in the mode of ignorance. We must come to the mode of goodness to actually enter into true spiritual life. That's why the yoga, teaching, diet, lifestyle is come from the mode of ignorance and passion to the mode of goodness, and then enter into pure goodness. So if we stay in the mode of ignorance, that's where we'll stay. And we can have all these, quote, teachings, but there's a limit to where I can go with that. There's a limit to where I can go with that. And it's up to us to decide, what do I want? Do I want to really be pleasing? Do I want to do the best thing? Do I want to do the best thing I can do to help my body and my mind as they're designed to be? What do I want? It's up to me. I can choose. And if my desire for the taste of meat and so on is greater than other things, is that my priority? Then that's what I'll do.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the choice I'll make.
Exactly. And just like you said, you choose.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
People say, you have to do. You don't have to do anything. But there will be a result from whatever choice we make. And the better choices we make, the better the results will be.
And we make informed, if we have the information, we have informed choice. That's the point.
We've got all this information and we've got minds to receive it, think about it. And we have to bring logic in here somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not logical. If eating meat industry, the meat food, let's say animal food industry is the largest contributor to greenhouse gases.
Yeah, it is.
And if it is true that greenhouse gases are causing global warming, which that's always debatable, but anyway, let's just say it is, does it make sense to eliminate or reduce or even stop animal food industry? So we don't have all that problem?
No, I know. I know.
I mean, it's so many. You can, on a small piece of land, grow so much food from the vegetarian angle, but if you put a cow, he needs much more of that to get a pound of beef.
Exactly. Because of all the energy loss.
It's just not practical.
No.
And as the population grows and grows, the authorities, the ecological authorities say, the environmental authorities, that the population will reach a point where the earth can no longer sustain animal foods, diets. I mean, the planet can't sustain it. So people will be forced to be vegetarians.
Yeah, now every year the Earth overshoot day is coming earlier and earlier when we've used up all the resources of the Earth, like of the current year.
If we want to declare ourselves to be an environmentalist, the best thing we can do is be a vegetarian. That's the best thing we can do as an environmentalist. So you can't find the negatives. I mean, the protein thing, that's not going to float. I mean, you can't win that argument. So the health issues and this issue, that issue, the environmental issues, the compassion issues, so on. Yeah. Christ-spiracy.
I was going to say, I mean...
There's a documentary called Christ-spiracy. Anybody seen that?
You maybe heard about Seaspiracy or Cowspiracy? Yeah. So it's the same
person that produced Cowspiracy and fish.
Seaspiracy.
Seaspiracy.
I think so. Yeah. Seaspiracy. Cowspiracy.
And it shows the truth behind all of that, and then what the health is another one by the same person, and now Christ-spiracy. Like, what would Christ do? How would Christ kill an animal? And that's the opening to the thing. And then they go all over the world and interview all these different people about the real understanding of Christ and what did he eat? What was his teaching on this subject? So it's very interesting as well.
Yeah. They lack, of course, a full understanding. The only thing I was a bit, they speak to someone who's so-called a yogi and they can't explain it either, this thing about karma or how it's all connected, how we can, anyways, but it's a great movie. It's limited in some extent still.
Yeah.
You need additional information, so it's not be all and end all. It's
So if we follow the Vedic teachings, we can live a karma-free life, really.
Yeah.
From every angle, from the food to the activities we perform to whatever. If we follow the Vedic system truly as it should be, we can live a karma-free life and be very active, do so many things, but it's not producing any karma. And that's the best. That's the best. So the law of karma is real. You can't override it. We should think about that. What is the karma here?
I don't know if we maybe have time for a couple of questions. If someone has anything on their mind. Or...
I mean, there's more, but that's enough. But let me say one thing. People say, oh no, I got to eat meat because I like the taste of meat. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. There's so many meat substitutes right now. They're not healthy necessarily, but there's things that taste like chicken and fish and beef and burgers and plant-based, all plant-based.
Yeah.
So if you've got to have that tongue flash, if you're really addicted to that taste, okay, there's plant-based alternatives.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, I have to eat meat because I have to have that taste, because there's plant-based alternatives now.
Those alternatives are much better in every way, also karmically than...
Yeah, I mean, karmically and so on, they're much better than meat.
Yeah.
They're not the healthiest things, but maybe that's where you start.
And maybe that's a transition. You start, exactly.
You transition.
Yeah.
Later, you don't need that. But now, okay, it's still plant-based. Use it.
A friend of mine said, she didn't stop eating meat because she didn't like meat. She still likes the taste of meat. So she still tries to make food that are like similar in consistency or kind of chunky and, the salty or whatever. Like, no problem.
One question, 2 questions. Run for your life.
That's a big question.
What was that?
It's a long... vegan or vegetarian, I said.
Vegan or vegetarian?
Because you said, he always said vegetarian, yeah? Yeah. Where to start? But it's...
Well, it's a real question. It's a necessary question.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, takes us a little deeper into the spiritual journey of life. But if you're looking at it from a strictly karma angle, see, a vegan diet is probably better. And it's less impact, because vegetarian would also include dairy products. And
not eggs, though. Just a parenthesis, not eggs. We don't classify eggs.
Yeah, I mean, the yoga system doesn't include eggs in the diet. It's no meat, no fish, no eggs in the yoga system.
It's just dairy. Yeah.
But it includes dairy. And so there's a confusing issue here. What about dairy? Because, the dairy industry is a very cruel industry. Extremely cruel industry. And, I was reflecting this summer. I was, in Colorado, and there's a lot of high altitude, beautiful meadows, and the cows, the snow-capped mountains in summer, and the cows got their young calves, and they're all eating the green grass. And I was thinking, those guys suffer a lot, and they're beef cows. These are not dairy cows. These are strictly one purpose for raising them, to eat them.
Uh-huh.
And I was thinking, those guys suffer a lot less than a dairy cow. Because a dairy cow is chained up in a barn in one place and milked by an automatic machine with the lights on, filled with hormones to make it so they produce milk more than they should. They're artificially inseminated. I mean, it's horrible stuff.
Constantly inseminated to keep producing milk.
Keep them constantly pregnant or new calf so they can keep producing milk.
And you take the
I'm
cats
thinking
and you kill
these
them.
dairy cows, I mean, these beef cows have a better situation than they do. So I was thinking like that. But so here's the real answer. Even if you're a vegan and you got to kill to eat, you still have to kill the carrot. You still got to cut the head off the cabbage. There's a person there. You're still killing somebody. It's not as much karma, but it's still karma. Even if you pick a fruit off a tree, you might hurt the tree a little bit when you pick off that fruit. You let it fall on the ground. There's people living on the fruit. There's people on the ground when you walk over to pick up the fruit. You can't exist in this world without killing. It's impossible. You walk out this door and walk to the other house. You might step on how many people on the way. I mean, that's just reality. So, you still got to kill. Now, what is the solution here? If killing causes karma, and karma keeps us on the wheel of birth and death, which it does, then it seems impossible to get off the wheel. There's no possibility.
Yeah, I see.
But of course, by divine arrangement, there is a possibility. There's a way to live, to eat, and thrive without creating any karma. And that is, and it's stated very clearly in Bhagavad Gita, you offer your food to the Lord first before you eat it. So, in Bhagavad Gita, it's chapter 9, verse 26. He who offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or a little water, I'll accept it. So God says he will accept those foodstuffs when offered with love and devotion. So that is all vegetarian foodstuffs. Nuts, seeds, grains, fruits, vegetables, and dairy products. He will accept those. Okay. But he won't accept meat, fish, or eggs as an offering. Okay, so dairy products are included in that. If I offer those before I eat them, then all karma is removed. But let's take it. But you don't have to have dairy. You don't have to. So let's say, well, why the dairy? What's the point?
Yeah.
The person in the cow body that's chained up and suffering its whole life, and then at the end of that time, whatever that time may be, it's killed for meat. I was here in Norway up by Mo i Rana, and I went to a dairy farm there. We was staying close to there, and we went to the dairy farm to get fresh milk in the morning. And went there 2 or 3 different days. And one day I went and I asked the farmer, kind of a 40-year-old guy, and the cows are all there, like you can imagine. And I said, how long do these cows live? He said, oh, it depends on how long I allow them to live. When they quit producing enough milk, that's the end of their life, and then they're used for meat, you see. So that's the reality. But if I'm a vegan and I want to help those cows by not drinking dairy, okay, I don't touch dairy because now I'm contributing to the suffering of the cows. I don't really help that cow that's tied up. All that really does is make it so I feel good. I feel good about not using dairy and the suffering cows. See, I don't really help the cow. He's still chained up. He's still suffering. I don't really help him, the person in that body. But if I take his fruit, not his fruit, her fruit, if I take the fruit from that cow, which is the milk, and I offer it to God before I use it, or I make some nice preparations. You can make very nice preparations with milk, all kinds of curd and, yogurts and kefirs and sour cream and whatever. So I do whatever I do with the milk, make it into a nice preparation, like straight up or otherwise, and I offer it to God first. Not only does it remove the karma from that, but it helps the person in that cow body. And next lifetime, that person will not have to go through this again. He will take a human birth. I'm helping the cow really, spiritually speaking, evolve to a nice human form of life. See, so now I'm thinking about the person in the cow body. I'm not only considering the animal and its immediate situation.
Yeah.
Mm?
Yeah.
So that's why. And, you can make very nice offerings with dairy products. You look at Vedic history and you read about the food in Indian cooking, if you want to call it Indian cooking. They use a lot of ghee from butter, as one of the main ingredients and so on. It has to be done right. You got to use dairy products properly, and unfortunately the dairy is so contaminated now. It's not very good. You need organic, whatever. But the bottom line is that's why vegetarian rather than vegan, Now you may choose to, maybe you don't want to drink milk or use milk because it doesn't work for your body. Some people's bodies don't work very well on dairy. It causes mucus or whatever. That's an individual thing. It's not like you have to use dairy, but the philosophy is and the understanding is vegetarian as opposed to vegan, And so again, the yoga system is the ultimate, the teachings there are the ultimate guidance. If we follow that, that's the best we can do. So following Marcus and all these people, they know what they know. They approach it from their angle. But if you want the best overall understanding of the right thing to do, the yoga system is the best. The pure yoga system, not changed. It's, what's called the yoga system now is many times very incorrect, but the pure system. So what is the exact question?
Well, I guess one was about organic versus, how to say healthy, like in terms of
how to.
Yeah, because all the food that we eat has got pesticides in it, and it's hard to get.
You got. Organic is obviously better from every angle. And if we're talking about offering, it's a better offering,
it's cleaner.
Rather than a chemically contaminated poison food. But because the bottom line in everything today is money, it's not health, it's money. The farmer wants money from what he does, so he sprays his crops, he genetically modifies them. I don't know if they allow that in Norway, do they? GMO stuff?
I don't think so.
They do? They don't?
I don't think so.
In America, it's rampant.
But it's
Monsanto
coming.
just rules the world,
Yeah.
But the only reason is more money, chemical everything, because the bugs don't eat it,
Exactly.
Therefore, it's plastic, and it just kills you. But that's okay because it makes you sick first, and the pharmaceutical industry makes more money from sick people. They don't want to keep you healthy, and they don't want you to die. Just keep you sick, and that's where the money is. So do the best you can to get organic food. It costs more. That's another thing. The government, I'm talking America mostly because I'm not really familiar with all the governments around the world, but the American government will subsidize tobacco farmers, and they'll subsidize all these meat guys. They take public land, which is for the public, and they'll allow a farmer, a rancher, a beef rancher, to graze his cattle on public land for $1 an acre per year. That's all he has to pay to use public land to grow his meat. to make his profit.
Wow.
You see. But if you go there and say, "Oh, can I grow organic vegetables here?" No, this is public land. You can't do it. So they'll subsidize all these things, but they won't subsidize the organic farmer.
Yeah.
So make it equal. You go to the market, here's an organic tomato. Oh, it's like, I don't know the tomato price. Now, I'll just use figures. Okay, 1 kilo of tomatoes, regular poison tomatoes, $1.
Uh-huh.
Organic tomatoes, $4.
Yeah.
Hey, why can't it be equal? And let me choose. $2 for the organic, $2 for the non-organic.
Yeah.
But we can't afford it. Why doesn't the government subsidize you guys?
Yeah.
Why like this? It's all so twisted because it's controlled by the big conglomerates, and money. And as a result, we pay the price. The money is theirs, the price is here. We pay the price. So do the best you can. Absolutely. It's worth the money, if you can afford it, to pay for the organic. Yeah, you'll come out ahead in the long run. And the non-organic farming methods kill all the biodiversity in the area. All the little animals and the birds and on and on it goes. The little bugs and do good things. In America, I just read they've lost 60% of the honeybees.
Exactly.
60% of the honeybees.
Mm.
And they attribute it mainly to pesticides. Pesticides are killing the bees.
Exactly.
What do the bees do? They pollinate the crops. So with no bees, no pollination of the crops, no crops. So they just shoot themselves in the foot.
No, and you need to have someone come in and artificially bring the bees in so that you can have.
Yeah, it's like
I think
man trying to play God.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. Man's trying to play God. And what did Marcus say? Because we can do it doesn't mean we should do it. This is where the discrimination comes in. We can do it, but should we do it? But the modern scientific consciousness is, if we can do it, let's do it.
Yeah.
If we can't, let's do it. Where it should be, yeah, we can do it, but should we do it? No. We can develop an atomic bomb. Let's do it. We can develop an atomic bomb. Should we do it? No. Shouldn't do that, because there's only one reason to do that. That's to kill people. Let's create harmony. Let's get everybody to chant. Why don't the governments get by worldwide chanting? We'll subsidize you guys. You guys take kirtan all over the world. We'll subsidize you.
All the retreats are paid for. This retreat center, you just can't come for free.
We'll allot $2 billion to your Be Peace movement.
Yeah. Take
it to the world. Okay, atmosphere, you got a lot to do. Get ready. You don't have to worry. It'll never happen.
Yeah.